Traces of radioactive iodine from the FuKuShima nuclear complex in Japan have been found detected in the air in Glasgow. The Scottish Government says there's no risk to human health. For some more on that breaking news, on the line is Professor Paddy Regan, nuclear physicist at the University of Surrey. He joins us on the line. Professor Regan, how worried should we be about this? Presumably it's at extremely low levels, this detection of radiation in Glasgow.
I'm sure we don't need to worry about it at all, Dermot, and certainly the people of Glasgow don't need to worry about it. As I've said before, you can measure traces of radioactivity very, very cleanly and very, very carefully there. And what the scientists, I guess, up in Glasgow have done, or will have done, is to measure an excess in a specific gamma ray fingerprint associated with iodine-131, 365 kV is the energy. And they'll have seen that this has increased slightly over what they would assume to be normal background levels. We know that it probably has come from FuKuShima on the basis that iodine-131 is usually made with a fission fragment. But just to clarify, iodine-131 is also used as a radiopharmaceutical. So it might just be worth for people checking there that this is not some slight release just above background associated with people washing their pharmaceuticals down the drains in Scotland. The risk to human health at the levels that they're talking about, I think, are basically zero.
Okay, well, if we assume it has come in some way from the FuKuShima plant, could we assume then that if it's got halfway around the world, similar levels should be being detected in many, many other countries?
Well yes, we could, but let's just roll back a step and as I said, iodine-131 is a mass-produced industrial radiopharmaceutical. It's used to diagnose underactive or overactive thyroids, and in fact it's actually also used, strangely enough, to treat thyroid cancer. So I said every hospital in the country has supplies of iodine-131 in them. So what I haven't seen is what the excess of iodine-131 that's been measured in Glasgow is. It's possible that some atoms of this radio isotope may have arrived from FuKuShima, but it's a very long way away. It will be very, very largely dispersed, and I'd like to actually see the numbers before I commented further on it. But from the numbers that they're talking about, it appears to be very, very small increases on the overall average, which you see in the background, and that could plausibly come from people just pouring away their iodine-131 in a local hospital nearby.
Okay, so you want to check some more, but on iodine-131, which we've all been learning about over the last few weeks, it decays pretty rapidly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's 8 days, but just to be clear how you make it, I mean, originally it was sort of made as a fission fragment, so it's made a nuclear weapon. So we know it's not from any of the former nuclear weapons tests, because they took place in the atmosphere, 20 or 30 years ago. So any radioactivity from them would have fallen away. But it is, as I said, something that is made commercially from nuclear reactors, taken out and basically used in hospitals. And as you say, it has an 8-day half-life, is the words in the sort of scientific words that we use for it. That means basically after 8 days, half of it has disappeared. After a further 8 days, half of what was left has disappeared. And after a further 8 days, half of what was left again has disappeared. So basically after 3 and a bit weeks, you're down to something like a tenth of the radiation level than you would have had at the beginning associated with it. So realistically, after a month, even if there was a tiny amount there to start off with, there wouldn't be any left.
Okay, Professor Regan, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts, your expertise there. Professor Paddy Regan on that news that radioactive iodine traces detected in Glasgow. Professor Regan there saying that he would want to make sure, first of all, that it hasn't occurred as a result of industrial processes, and wherever it's come from, it's at extremely low levels.